Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, Senate mourns 120 Nigerians reportedly killed by bandits in Sokoto as court sentences Boko Haram member to death by hanging. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Soludo over Anambra governorship election victory as YPP candidate Ifeanyi Uba vows not to challenge results in courts. And later on the show, Lagos Speaker Right Honorable Obasa calls for more sensitization to discourage youths from drug abuse, promises that Assembly will make laws to reduce menace. I'll be hanging out with Chiawo Lamoke Nwanko and Asuko James, while Babajiri Kolade Otitoju joins us from our Abuja studio. So, if you're ready, let the hangout start now. The killing of 120 villagers by bandits at Gorony Market in Sokoto State on the 17th of October still draws bitter taste in the mouth, especially when the perpetrators roam the forest free. On Wednesday, the Senate mourned the victims by observing a minute's silence for them after a point of order raised by Senator Ibrahim Gobir. Meanwhile, a judge of Ekiti State High Court, Justice Lekon Ogumoye, has sentenced Abdusalam Adinoyi, a self-confessed member of Boko Haram, to death by hanging. That could be a tonic needed to end the terror in the northeast. Gentlemen, since this campaign started, since the war against Boko Haram started, it has always been, you know, people coming out to clamor for amnesty for these sects. We hardly see clear cases going to court, prosecuted with evidence, and people, you know, are sentenced to, or get judgment here and there. One of the few cases. So it's a nice one coming from Ekiti State High Court, that Justice Lekon Ogumoye.
Exactly. You know, why one of the main reasons why this insurgency has been, you know, going on for more than 9 or 10 years now is because there've not been any clear-cut prosecution, you know, of those who are perpetrating this evil. Apart from the fact that the military has been going head-on trying to, you know, eliminate them, those who are being caught, as in taken to the prison, none has gone through the full process of the judiciary, whereby they will be taken to court, we'll look, and then we'll look at them, everybody say, okay, these are the set of people that attacked a particular village, killed a particular set of people, killed the military, and this, that. None. What we have always seen is that at the end of the day, some of them are coming out and they are turning to repentant terrorists or whatever. And at the end of the day, they have, you know, because, yeah. So, if, for instance, we have whereby justice is served to these people, whereby people who perpetrate this crime, they are brought to the law courts, and then they are being served the jail terms that is needed for them. By now, Ayo would have moved on. Most of them by now would have said, okay, we are not doing this bad or this job again, because it's like a job to most of them. And that is why you can see ISWAP, for instance, going all out to Libya, trying to recruit mercenaries to come and fight in Nigeria. You know, so if this is going to be the first test whereby Boko Haram members are being jailed or being served this kind of jail term, because it's either 20 years imprisonment for one of the charges, it was 20 years imprisonment, and then hanging, to die by hanging, or even that is maximum. So if this is done, we will know that even those who are claiming that they are bandits, they will also stop. Because we can't every day wake up in the morning and we hear that 120 Nigerians, our brothers and our sisters who went out to the market to fend for themselves are killed. And then the only thing we do is 1 minute silence.
Shaku Lamoge.
Yes.
Now we now have like a precedent. I'm not sure it's the first case, but one of those few cases that you will see, and this will serve as deterrent to people that want to take to this cult group.
Yes. A lot of Nigerians who have been following this macabre, dance we've been having in Nigeria since 2010 have been calling for
The prosecution
of these people. In line with the laws of this country. We have laws dealing with such criminality. But the fact is that the way, the kid gloves with which the Nigerian state have been handling this matter has made mockery of our legal system. Look at what happened in Chad when some of them were caught. It took Chad not less than 2 months before they were sentenced and killed. And that sent a very strong message, which we've not been having in Nigeria. Even when it was difficult for even some lawmakers and even the federal government to accept when Boko Haram started, for them to be branded as terrorists. Now, we now have at least one case that could be cited. But the fact is that with the way state governors who have the ultimate power to sign the death warrant, they've been,
shying away.
They've been shying away from doing that. Except the former governor of Edo State. There has never been any governor in Nigeria that signed that warrant. That is why many of these people are still in detention. I mean, in custody. After many years, they were convicted, either as armed robbers or those who murder their fellow human beings. So we have to set example with this person who has just been, convicted.
Jide, is there anything wrong with the fact that it's taking a judge from Ekiti State High Court, Justice Lekon Ogumoye, to actually pass this maximum sentence? Is this telling us anything?
Not really telling us anything, and he's not the first judge to convict Boko Haram suspects. As long as the prosecutorial institutions can bring Boko Haram suspects to court, I'm very certain that they will be convicted. Remember the 2011 Christmas Day bombing at St. Teresa's Catholic Church, Madala, in Niger State. Remember a man known as Kabiru Sokoto. His real name was Diko. Kabiru Sokoto was sentenced to life imprisonment by Justice Ademola of the Federal High Court, who has now retired. And he was actually sent to the brand new prison that the then governor of Sokoto State built. That's Governor Akpabio.
Minister.
He built a very modern prison. Yeah. And Kabiru Sokoto had the honor of being one of the first people to experience what that modern prison looks like. So he was sentenced to life imprisonment for terrorism. Don't also forget that Charles Okatu was sentenced to life imprisonment for terrorism for plotting the Independence Day bombing. in Abuja. Kabiru Sokoto succeeded in killing 44 persons, and many people were injured. So we just need to encourage the authorities to bring up cases against these fellows. We have heard of the sponsors of Boko Haram. We were told they were going to be put on trial. We are waiting. We don't know how long it's going to take the Attorney General of the nation to put these guys on trial. We will never be able to serve exemplary lessons to these individuals unless we make them pay, unless we make them have their day in court. So this is particularly cheering coming from Ekiti State, because it belonged to the Boko Haram at that time, the Boko Haram group, and he confessed to being a member of Boko Haram from Okene. And when his house was searched, the guns, police guns that he snatched from policemen at a checkpoint where he killed a police officer were found in his house. So the judge did not waste time in saying that all the issues are resolved in favor of the prosecution, and he was sentenced to death. So we just need to we have bandits now. If bandits are arrested now, they should be tried as terrorists. They should be tried as terrorists. I'm not saying that banditry is the same thing as terrorism, but some of the things that they are doing these days qualify them to be tried as terrorists. So we have to find a way to solve this problem. Killing 120 people is extremely disturbing. Mm-hmm. I know that there were 2 reprisal attacks. It wasn't that they were killed in one day. There were 2 reprisal attacks. But whatever be the case, you shouldn't kill 120 people and get away with it. So we should do a lot better in terms of bringing these guys to book.
So when you see the bandits on rampage, especially this Sokoto thing, I expect that at least the security agents would have identified the group responsible for this. This should not be yet another killing.
Of course, I'm very sure with the onslaught so far by the military, in trying to make sure that they deal with these bandits, they would have identified where they are now, because if you know what the senator was saying, one of the things he said was they have even started installing their own village heads. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is a village head, it means that he now has an enclave. Yes, so it will be very easy to go there and deal with them, no matter how many they are. So it's just that the number of the military, the number of the soldiers that will be taken there to go and deal with these guys will also be determine how and when these guys will be dealt with. Because the thing is, these guys are, every day you wake up and you open the TV, you listen to radio and the newspapers, there is no day that you don't hear about deaths. And it's really disturbing. So the only way that we can deal with these people is for us to deal with them. The only language they understand is for us to go all out on them. There's no time saying you want to pity them. I don't subscribe to the fact that by Sheikh Gumi, who is always saying that religion can pacify them. No.
Do you have this feeling? Some people would like to insinuate that, look, the way we are treating these bandits, we are treating them with kid gloves. We've not descended on them maximally.
Yes, a lot of people have such a perception. Even from the point of view of saying they are not terrorists. I have a different view. You don't need to be the Robespierre of the Jacobin club, those who masterminded terror during the French Revolution, for you to be qualified as a terrorist with what these guys are doing. what matters most is what does our law say. We have Anti-Terrorism Prevention Act, which defines kidnapping and intimidation of the society. Any act that, could be translated to intimidating the society qualifies as an act of terrorism. For a group of, whether you call them bandits, who walk into the market and then shoot at random and kill 120 people, or walk into a school and kidnap 200 or more people, some of them 3-year-old, children, will be in the forest for 2 months. I don't know what else qualifies as terrorism. So Nigerian state have been dealing with them with kid gloves. We need to, give them that tag, and then sufficiently, bring the full weight of the state to bear against them.
Babajide, do you believe so? Do you believe in this sentiment that we've not actually descended on them heavily enough? On these bandits?
I think largely the bandits and the terrorists have exposed the weaknesses in security architecture. There are methods by which we can approach this problem that we are really not taking advantage of. For example, my own suggestion had always been, let's have a military campaign that could last up to 5 months. We know we're at war. Let's have it simultaneously across all the contiguous states, so that there's no escape for these guys. Because we know now that some of these guys what they have done is simply to move into other areas that have not experienced so much bombing by the military. And they started causing problems in those areas. These places in Sokoto, Sabombrini, Isa, Tureta, Goronyo, where they killed all these people, they were not experiencing that level of attack by bandits until the escalation of the military operation in Zamfara State. So what will it take us to ensure that these attacks on these guys are simultaneous? Is it that we do not have the resources, or what? Is it that the military does not have the right training to get the job done? Because, look, for me, you can call them what you like. You can call them bandits, you can call them terrorists. The issue is, how are we approaching defeating them? People need to ask themselves questions. The people think that simply calling them terrorists is the solution, is what will put an end to the menace that these guys constitute. They should ask the questions about what's going on in the Northeast. As we speak, more than 50% of Borno North is still in the hands of Boko Haram.
More than 50%.
The entire Guzamala local government is Boko Haram controlled. That is the local government of the speaker. There's no military presence there. I've said it repeatedly. So, are those ones not designated as terrorists? Why have we not been able to deal a decisive blow on them? We still read about Boko Haram till today attacking military bases. Those reports are still coming out. Just 3 days ago, they went to Askira-Uba to burn our people's houses, to kill our people in Askira-Uba, along the border with Adamawa State, the border between Borno and Adamawa State. That's a group that we are designated as a terrorist group for so long. So you can call them what you like. As Mayor said the other day, this is just a matter of semantics. It is your approach that will decide whether you defeat the enemy or not. If we brand them as terrorists, as many as they are, at least in Zamfara alone, there could be up to 200 bandit groups, just in Zamfara alone. Even if we brand them terrorists, what is the approach? Will our approach lead to success? How many years will it take us to defeat Boko Haram? Since 2009. So this is the thing. There has got to be a change in strategy. A change in strategy, a change in approach. We are not seeing that. Why should bandits at their level now be seizing armored vehicles of the military?
That means we are
So it's the approach that really matters, the approach to solving the problem, not what you call these criminals. It's the approach.
But dealing with like a full-scale war up north now.
Yeah.
And if we are looking at the areas being occupied by Boko Haram and those other areas being
occupied by bandits.
The bandits.
You know. So the thing is, if only the Nigerian government or the Nigerian state sees these guys, whether bandits or terrorists, especially bandits, because those ones are the ones even giving us, we know that of the terrorists, the war is still on. But the bandits now, who is becoming, whether we should call them terrorists or not, if we can now declare full-scale war on them, I feel we can defeat them. Just like Babajide is saying, if there's a strategy,
all out, sustained.
Yes, if
for
there's
like
a
5 months.
sustained strategy for us to deal with these guys, Ayo will deal with them. Because I don't believe that the Nigerian military is incapable of dealing with these guys. We might not have the personnel, but we have the capacity to deal with them. So all we need is just for us to draw up a perfect strategy and see this as a major war, a warfare that these guys has to be eliminated, these guys has to be, they need to be defeated so that people begin to live their lives.
Now the simplest way of even getting rid of these guys is the air power.
Sure.
And
Exactly.
since we have this limitation of, if you can't use it against Boko Haram alone, you can't use it against bandits. I see that as a big setback because we have our 12 Super Tucanos now. That would have made the difference, that we don't need to deploy infantry soldiers on ground or maybe artillery. Just finish them through air, and the infantry will just come in and do what we call mop-up.
Are the Air Force, are they not in action in Zamfara State? I was given to understand that why these people have shifted to Sokoto was because of the series of attacks they were receiving from Zamfara State. They now migrated to Sokoto.
We should not allow such migration to happen.
Yes, it shouldn't. The air power should be deployed. These people are enemies of the state. That's what they've demonstrated. You remember that it is the same set of people that invaded the NDA in Kaduna. The same, this set of guys. So they've committed so much atrocities that whatever action the state decides to take against the Boko Haram should be visited upon them. So that is what should be done. If we treat them differently from the way Boko Haram is being handled, it then means that what is going on there will continue. And one important point I have to make is that we should not, forget the fact that why we came to this sorry state in the first place was because of the fact that our territories are under policed. And since the life of this administration started, Nigerians have been clamoring for state police, including the governors now who are the receiving end. I mean, in the north, they have all been calling for this. I remember the Air Rufai's committee on devolution of powers, which recommended, among other things, state police. 9 governors were there. So we should be asking the Gobir, the senator from Sokoto State that brought this matter before the Senate. What is the National Assembly doing on that? They have the power to initiate such a process of power devolution that will include state policing if the president is not willing to do so. So what are they doing? So lamenting or just mourning the death of these people is not what is not what is expected of them.
Jide, do you support this? Well, okay, you were talking about constant bombardment and everything, and we might be limited in terms of we might not be able to get our best out against these bandits.
Well, as I've said repeatedly, we don't need the Tucano bombers to defeat these bandits. The ground attack helicopters will even do a much more devastating job. When Boko Haram invaded one of the super camps in the northeast, I think in Malte, it was the ground attack helicopters with night fighting capability that launched 3 waves of attacks, and all of the Boko Haram men at that location were obliterated, including the weapons of the army that they had stolen. They were unable to, not one of them was able to escape from that super camp. That job was done by our main ground attack helicopter. So what the Tucano will do, Tucano can give you precision, accuracy, and it can protect the lives of your fighter bombers, because they can launch their weapons from long range.
Okay.
But there's nothing as devastating, as useful to the infantry soldiers as the ground attack helicopters.
Okay, Jide, let me quickly.
If we use them maximally, like
Jide, just hold on. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. I'll go back to you, Jide, after this. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout. I still have Chiawo Lamoke and Asuko James, and Baba Jide is throwing in the strike from our studio in Abuja. And, the governorship battle in Anambra State has been fought and won, so we can now concentrate on governance. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, who emerged the winner of the election. The president said he is looking forward to working with him to tackle the enormous challenges facing the states and the south and the southeast in general. Meanwhile, the candidate of the Young Progressive Party, that YPP, Senator Ibrahim Gobir, pledged not to challenge the outcome of the election in courts. At the same time, I'm just reading it now that the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, that's Senator Anambra, has described the election as a charade and did not reflect the wishes of the people. And our popular candidate, Senator Gobir, is a victim of widespread electoral fraud and manipulated by INEC in cohorts with Willie Obiano regime and security forces deployed to oversee the Anambra State governorship election. So the APC candidate is now claiming to be a victim. I thought he has the federal. Yes, he should have the advantage of
thing is, sometimes when you hear things like this, you begin to laugh. The father of the party has congratulated the winner, because Buhari is the father of the party.
Yes,
he has congratulated the winner. So, not that you don't. The courts are always open. You can go to court if you want to.
Anybody did not win one local government.
No, that's what I'm saying. He did. Yes.
So, but now. So you don't want 19 local governments?
Yes, of course.
Even YPP
won one.
Still one is
yes, because that is the stronghold. Although he won only one of the local government, not the second one.
Yes, one
but at least he consolidated himself. So he should have, won his own local government, so that we even know that he has.
Okay, he's a strong man.
You understand? So him saying that it was a charade, it was this, it was that. President Buhari will be the happiest man Ayo that this election went like this, because he insisted that the election must hold. Don't forget, run off to the election, there was serious apprehension about this election. Yes. But the president stood his ground and said that the election must hold in Anambra, and election did hold.
I think
so.
Senator Anambra has been desperate since 2007 that he tasted that place for just 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks? I remember. And he was called the Excellency before the Supreme Court. That fate returned Peter Obi as the governor of that state. Ever since that time, it's not. This is not showing the spirit of a good sportman. If the YPP candidates, even the PDP candidate was the first to congratulate. Yes, the person that can say, "Oh, is the runner-up that should go to court and all that."
Exactly.
You see, I see this as one of the upshots of the brickbats, that happened between him and Soludo before the election. I don't want to go into details, but that shouldn't, be the case after the election. That was obvious to many that this was the winner. This was the winner. So and
the reaction shows that maybe Soludo is the popular choice.
Of course. And even the party itself, remember that even the Obiano's predecessor, Peter Obi, who on 2 occasions had sponsored candidates for elections in Anambra, couldn't deliver his local government on both occasions. I mean, somebody who was adjudged to have done well there.
Yes.
At least one should
reason that leading light to the southeast today.
One should reason that he still has some clout in the state, but he couldn't deliver his local government. In the last election that brought Obiano's second term, Abga and Obiano swept the entire 21 local government. So I don't see the basis for Oba's complaint. The election had been won, and the winner has emerged, So what the man should do is to toe the line of good sportsmanship.
But it's free in a democracy.
Yes, he is. Yes,
the courts are open.
He is. But you can guess what would be the likely outcome of such engagement.
Jide, I even read something very funny today. Somebody saying is that Senator Ibrahim returned with 290-something votes in his direct primaries in Imo State, in Anambra State. That what now happened on the election proper? That he had 43,000 votes.
Maybe all of those people didn't have PVCs.
Okay.
The manipulations that you can do at the level of party primaries, you cannot do under the present dispensation, at least talking about INEC. INEC wants to be seen as worthy of receiving the support that some donor agencies give it. And the only way the INEC can continue to get that support is if it continues to make its processes transparent, if it continues to show faith in giving us elections, the fidelity of which we can be proud of. So as far as everyone that I've spoken to is concerned, I've not spoken with Andy Uba. Everyone that I've spoken to has deemed the Anambra election, this Anambra governorship election, free, fair, and credible. And even when the Supreme Court sacked Andy Uba, he went back to the Supreme Court.
Yes, that was the first occasion I said that they should
challenging the Supreme Court to reverse itself.
Yes,
that was the first time. That was the first time I will hear somebody approach the Supreme Court to reverse itself. In all my years in journalism, that was the first time.
Yes, 2007.
That I will see somebody summon the courage to tell the Supreme Court to reverse itself. So I'm not surprised that at this stage he is saying that the election was not free and fair and all that. But everyone knows that at the end of the day, this is empty gas. The people of Anambra have voted for their next governor, and they have moved on. And you cannot say that we did not see this coming. On virtually every occasion that we discussed this state and the election, we knew that ABGA was going to win. There is a voter behavior about Anambra that has not changed since 2010. So I wonder, yeah, I know he must have spent so much money, people defecting and all that. Yes, and he must have thought that, okay, those defections will amount to victory. But that's not how it is. The whole world may decamp to your camp. But if the masses who take these decisions on election, they do not defect to your camp, there is nothing that you are going to accept defeat. And this has been a comprehensive defeat for Andy Uba. He did not even come second. So what is he complaining about? He did not even win his local government.
Yeah, exactly.
When you can't win your local government, the message to people is that you don't have a base, that you are an Abuja politician. So the best thing for him is not to waste money on litigation. I know that Soludo was unfair to him in the way he spoke to him, especially during the debate. Imagine Professor Soludo claiming that Anduba was shining shoes for Obasanjo. That's not fair now. There are certain things that you will say that people will find difficult to forgive. How do you say that about a human being like you? And you expect him to be happy? He can't be happy. So Professor Soludo should apologize for what he said and then draw him to his side.
Because it's his brother.
Because when you look at that election, everybody, even Dr. Chris Ngige, that is the party leader of the All Progressive Congress, I read his congratulatory message to Andy, to Soludo, and showing that, look, this is like a popular victory. Nobody is saying, oh, heaven will fall. And the PDP man wrote a passionate letter to the states and the voters, the electorate, and congratulated the candidate.
In fact, there's nobody apart from Andy Uba that has not congratulated Soludo. He's the best choice, and the people have spoken. Now, the problem I now have with the whole Andy Uba scenario is about even the party itself. The reward system in APC has to be looked at completely. People, you bring people from nowhere, and at the end of the day, you give them party ticket, and you want them to win the election.
That's like the likes of
that is why, yes,
the national auditor before.
Up to today, even that was the same thing that happened. It's like the party has not learnt a lesson. Edo, it happened. That was the same thing that happened in Edo, and they have not learned their lesson. So this is going to teach them a lesson. Not forgetting Ayo, ABGA is like a religion in Anambra State. Yes. So even if you bring somebody who is highly revered and you put it as a candidate in APC,
didn't use that word that it was comprehensive.
There's no how that the people in Anambra will vote another party outside ABGA.
Okay, we wish the new governor, that's Professor Chukwuma Soludo, the best of luck. Since democracy is participatory, the annual constituency stakeholders meeting by Lagos State House of Assembly is considered the greatest legacy of Speaker Mudashiru Obasa. This year's edition, which is the 7th in the series, focused on the theme increasing wave of drug abuse, the threat to nation building. At the meeting, Obasa called for more sensitization to discourage youths from drug abuse, promising that the House will make laws to reduce the menace. Let's share this story with you.
It's the annual town hall meeting organized by the Lagos State House of Assembly.
I want us to be attentive and concentrate to what we have a councillor here and we have representative of the NDELA here that will take us through.
The constituency engagement program was the brainchild of the Speaker of the House, Mudashiru Obasa. It is targeted at addressing issues that affect socio-economic and infrastructure development of every community in Lagos. The theme this year focused on increasing wave of drug abuse, a threat to nation building.
This is an annual program, and this is the 7th edition of it. So we will say when we are coming next year, we will come with the same program. But we can tell you that by next year, as we live here, we will make this part of our own duties. If you listen to what I read, we said that we have urged the executive arm to sustain the campaign and information, information concerning the effect of drug abuse. Now we will encourage again, so there will be sensitization regularly both on radio, television and others. So we will do this and continue to do more to ensure that we have children that will sustain our future, that we have children that will be capable leaders of tomorrow, that we have children that we can rely upon.
As it is the annual tradition of the House, the town hall meeting held simultaneously across the 40 constituencies in the state. As expected, traditional rulers and other residents of the state trooped out in their numbers to present the challenges facing their communities to their representatives. For a program like this, which is expected to bridge the gap between the legislative arm and people at the grassroots, the lawmakers did not forget to talk about the success of the initiative, which has in the last few years attracted increased developmental projects in communities across the state.
About sensitizing our people, particularly the parents and the leadership of each society community, the need for them to be conscious of the effect of drug abuse so that they can control their children and manage them properly. In addition to that, this is an annual event that we have sustained for 7 years, and it's also to get back to our electorate, to interact with them, to inform them as to what we have been doing in representing them in the House of Assembly and what the government has been doing, and also to listen for their requests in case where it is necessary for them to have government attention.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the first large-scale and nationwide survey to examine the extent and patterns of drug use in Nigeria showed that the highest level of drug use was found among people between the ages of 25 and 39, with cannabis being the most widely abused. The lawmakers are confident that suggestions made at this gathering will go a long way in addressing these societal menace.
Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa is 49 today.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
That's the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, and it's very important that at this time Obasa is calling for more sensitization to discourage youths from drug abuse, which has been a big problem across the country. Let me start this discussion with Babajide. Mudashiru Obasa is 49 today.
Yes. It's 49 today, and I think for him the legacy that he's going to leave behind is something that he cherishes so much. We have the neighborhood core in Lagos, thanks to Obasa. So even before the idea of Amotekun came up, Lagos already had its own plan to protect its people, you know, using the neighborhood core. That was a bill that he sponsored, and he saw to it that it became law. When you look at the annual constituency town hall meetings, this is the way by which the members of the Lagos House of Assembly get feedback from their constituents. And the feedback constitutes the pillar upon which the budget of the state is placed. because they are able to now know what the people need, the areas of tremendous need, thanks to this idea of the constituency town hall meeting that Obasa introduced, and is held simultaneously across the state in all of these constituencies. I'm also particularly happy with the introduction of Yoruba. Every Thursday, the plenary in the state is conducted in Yoruba. This was also an idea that originated during his speakership. And the House did not stop at that. The House moved on to get the Yoruba language, to save the Yoruba language from extinction. It was made compulsory in secondary schools in Lagos State, thanks to the efforts of the House. One of the most revolutionary things that he has done is also the live streaming of proceedings in the Lagos State House of Assembly. This is the first House of Assembly in Nigeria to live stream its proceedings. Many people believe that Lagos has the best House of Assembly in Nigeria in terms of its responsiveness and and capacity. And given what we have seen over the years, from speaker to speaker, Lagos is not willing to surrender that position. And don't forget, Obasa was also at one point the head of the Speakers Conference in our country. And as he marks his birthday today, I can only pray that he gets Godspeed and he continues to lead his colleagues to give Lagos the best laws that the state deserves.
Let me quickly take you to the what he called for, as in the subject matter now. Obasa calling for more sensitization to discourage youths from drug abuse. This thing, the codeine diets, the what do they call? Tramadol.
We have all kinds. If we do not do that, quickly, it will destroy our youths permanently. There are some of our young people who can barely even move around without being on drugs. We've got to do something quickly about that. And I'm happy that the House is leading this fight, at least in Lagos State. The access of our people to illicit drugs is troubling. You can see what Marwa is doing his best, but at every level we must attack this problem. People ingesting cocaine, codeine and all that. Even bandits, they will tell you now that you should supply them with codeine as part of the ransom. So it's a big problem, and drug use also fuels criminalities.
Yes.
That's why it's important that we defeat this drug menace, so that it will have a positive impact on peace, achievement of peace in our country.
You'll be shocked. Even the number of young girls from 14, 15 that they are high on their hand.
Of course, they are part of the Nigerian society. It's something that has no gender barrier. So that is why this issue of youths and drug must be tackled seriously. Like Jide pointed out, if you look at some criminal tendencies that we have in the society today, most of them could be traced to drug abuse. So that issue of sensitization program, which the speaker is calling up, looking at, should be taken very seriously. Looking at the way the Nigerian state is, I don't think that we lack laws to deal with, drug abuse. What has been deficient is enforcement, law enforcement. That is our problem. If you move around all the nooks and crannies of Lagos, you see at several joints, you see a group of youths, either taking one form of drug or the other. And shortly after
Taking
that,
shepherd.
court clashes will erupt.
motivates,
You know,
yes.
you see around them, you know, young girls, you know, in their midst, you know, who are part of
Asuko,
the rubbish.
it's so shameful that even my states, Ondo State, well, I think the Ondo State is the leader when it comes to consumption of marijuana.
Yes.
According to NDLE.
Yes, yes.
The major supplier, all they are
Because
major,
you know, I think that the state, Ondo State, is fertile for marijuana. You know, that was why even the governor was looking at it, trying to legalize it and see how it can make money from it,
alternative.
Yes, exactly, to
Part of
get
the
revenue.
state economy.
But I'm even more worried about the future of Nigeria, because anywhere you go, just like Chi just said now, any corner you go to in Lagos, you will find a woman selling shepe.
Okay, what's shepe?
You know, the eye is the name. You know, it's what is it called? Alcohol. That will be mixed with something. Then scooches that have been mixed with something. It's either they would have used tramadol, codeine, mix it together, and all these things. Most of the time, sometimes if not more, these women sell this thing very close to the secondary schools.
Yeah.
And when they sell these things, they are coming out. The children are coming out from the school.
Watching
the next
them.
thing they want to, because one uncle is drinking, they want to drink. So if that is why
I think
secondary schools,
the scooches is mixed with.
yes, is mixed
With Indian hemp.
With Indian hemp. You understand? Then they will now put what is it called? Something that is sweet, so you won't even feel it. You know. So by the time you take Indian hemp, take codeine, take tramadol, at a tender age, that is the biggest problem. So
Jide, it's very difficult now to even accept cakes from
Yes,
anybody celebrating
exactly.
birthday.
Exactly.
Because you discover that people now, they are saying
they will sprinkle it with
cakes.
Indian hemp.
You just eat the cake and you start sleeping.
With Indian hemp. There was a woman who was arrested along with her
doctor.
Exactly.
for doing that. You
She
know,
supplies it online.
because they sold cake to a client, after having laced the cake with Indian hemp. So a report was lodged with the police and they were arrested. It's such a terrible thing. Sometimes I ask myself, is Indian hemp now legalized in our country? Because you see people just smoking it freely.
Yes.
They are not even afraid. You see some of the best dressed bankers, best dressed corporate big players in our country, they drive straight to one joint in the Agidingbi area of Lagos. They will park their flashy cars and they will just start smoking hemp. They just start smoking hemp. Sometimes you see they are women. So the question is this thing now legalized? People now move from smoking Indian hemp to smoking Colorado and all that. And for a lot of them, their lives have been ruined already because they can do nothing without drinking codeine, without drinking smoking Colorado, without smoking India. Some people can't even go to toilet without smoking Indian hemp.
Exactly.
It's a life in ruins already. They destroy themselves.
Okay.
So they need you only need to.
So finally, we have, apart from Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, happy birthday, sir, that's the Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly. We have our own newsroom general, the general of TVC Newsroom.
Yes,
that's the director of news, Stella D. Jacob. Our own Stella, happy birthday. Yeah, it's coming at a very difficult time as well.
Exactly. The only thing we just wish her very well and strength and peace, you know, and that God to continue to keep her.
I won't allow this moment to go without Jide too contributing. Jide, it's Stella's birthday.
Yes, it's a happy birthday to a very purposeful woman, one of the most famous women in journalism in our country. It's a pity that she's not around now, because We always like to make Abade a big event. But
Yes,
unfortunately, she's bereaved and she's preparing for her dad's burial.
Yes.
What a time for Stella to mark Abade.
We pray that the Almighty God will give Stella, Mr. and
We
Mrs.
will wait for her.
Jacob.
When she returns, we will celebrate it in grand style with favorite inebriating stuff for our friends.
Okay. Also, Michael Effiong.
Yeah.
Michael Effiong of Ovation.
That's
my
my brother, my elder brother. We used to call him 11.
All right. 11. Chiawo Lamoke, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
And BKO, thank you for your contribution from Abuja. And Asuko James, thank you for contributing.
Thank you for having
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcasts tonight at 11. And don't forget to join us, Journalist Hangout, on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.